So, My Hero Academia manga chapter 358 has been released, and boy oh boy is this going to be an action-packed chapter, and it's not going to be focusing on who you think it's going to be, but it's still going to be a very good chapter, I promise, and you'll see why right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Drew, and I'm here to do my review of My Hero Academia manga chapter 358 titled A Small Step for a Man. And yes, when it comes to this chapter of My Hero Academia, there is a strong focus on action, but we're actually cutting over to an entirely different area. So unfortunately, we are not going to be talking about Deku, and we're not going to be talking about All for One, technically. But in this chapter, it's still a lot of good stuff that we can really discuss, and this is why I'm here, to review this chapter. So let's dive right into it. For starters, we are going back to a new battleground. Weirdly enough, we're actually going to be focusing on the fight between Shigaraki / All for One versus the other heroes inside of the UA Flying Fortress. And this was something that I really didn't expect, but I'm glad that we are actually focusing on this fight because we saw hints of it a few chapters ago, seeing Bakugo in that one panel. So we're actually going back and focusing on that moment because that is one of the few locations that we really didn't get to see what was going on. And there is a reasoning why. With all of these hands going around, Shigaraki or All for One or both of them are doing massive damages to this fortress. He's destroying the UA building. He's taking out heroes one by one. Tamaki gets smacked down. Nejire is able to block, but then also gets knocked down. As we also get to see that Best Jeanist, Midako, and Bakugo are all within this swarm of massive hands as they're trying to destroy it and get closer to Shigaraki's main body as close as possible. So the idea behind this is that Shigaraki or All for One most likely is doing all of this to prevent the heroes from actually doing any type of damage to him, and that when he's in this quirkless body or in this quirkless stage, no matter how much damage that he can take, he can still die in this moment. So even though he does have this Herculean strength similar to All Might, he doesn't have the regeneration to back it up. And as we see later on at the end of this chapter, yeah, there's a reasoning why these heroes shouldn't have gotten close to him. But as this is all happening, you have Edgeshot using a new move that we haven't seen, Nimpo, shattering paper thread, as he's able to rip open one of these arms pretty much from the inside out. But unfortunately, that doesn't do much, and the fingers begin to grow back. And Edgeshot is still questioning, how is this still from a quirk? There's no possible way this could be the case. And then from here, we go more into All for One speaking through Shigaraki right now, at least from what we've seen through the early leaks and the early translations of this chapter via spoilers. Most likely All for One is speaking in this moment, and what he's talking about is his greater plan for the world, and how he talks about how when it comes to all of these quirks, that in his new body, they will all combine into All for One, and that this is just a byproduct of the body being molded to be suitable for these quirks and their accommodations. And how he goes once again on his spiel about taking over the world, how he'll become God, and that when it comes to why the world is happening the way that it is, it's because that there's a growing gap between people, which rises to misunderstandings, rejection, and fear. And that he's going to be the one to put all of this under one roof. He's going to be the one controlling everything, and by him controlling everyone, by oppressing them, then he will lead to a peaceful world, a world that the heroes are seeking. And this is very interesting because it shows that in a way, All for One is seeking peace as long as he's able to control everything. So the main goal of All for One throughout this entire story is to have full control over everything, which is most likely the reasoning why he's been seeking a One for All this entire time, because it's the one quirk that he could never have and could never fully control. It's also very powerful, but it's the one thing that he can't control, which is why he's seeking it this entire time. But we also get to see the pragmatic nature of All for One, and how this ties into a philosophy that he has about people and how they cannot really change. And that in this idea, this world is being created because this is what human nature is, and that this human nature can't be changed. And this is very great, especially to have Bakugo as his opponent, because Bakugo is pretty much the antithesis to this idea. Because in this chapter, before we get more to the Bakugo development, we get to see that Bakugo has a lot more guns on him now. And that him moving around was for the main reasoning of having this new support item being activated, which is area suppressing, heavy armor activated, Starfing Panzer. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guns, including his own gauntlets. And as we see that Bakugo is firing off all of these massive blasts, destroying multiple upon multiples of Shigaraki All For One's fingers, you just have Mirko coming like, this kid finally learned how to work together. Neat. But as this is all happening, you pretty much have Bakugo kind of like reflecting on everything that is going on. He's reflecting on the people that are helping him, from Monoma to Aizawa to Kaminari to Fukadashi to even Momo, and how they're all doing their all to support him and the other heroes fighting against Shigaraki. And how he's criticizing All For One for what he is saying, or Shigaraki because he doesn't know who he is exactly. He thinks about the idea of misunderstandings, the rising of fear and rejection, and he accepts it as, yeah, I accepted all of that long ago, and I've also met people who are willing to go beyond that, to go beyond the misunderstandings, the fear, and the rejection. And if there are people in this world that can do that, then he doesn't care about anything that All For One says at this moment. And this is very great because this pretty much shows that Bakugo, pretty much for the most part, has gone full circle with this character arc. And that this is where the final revelation of who Bakugo is as a character finally reaches its breaking point. Because at this moment, Best Jeanist calls Bakugo Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite, finally recognizing him as a hero, and that this is something that probably couldn't come into fruition if his name wasn't already known prior. So everything pretty much about Bakugo's character has come full circle in this moment, and it leads to a final clash between him and Shigaraki, which is the final panel of this chapter, Howitzer Impact, Cluster Bomb. Bakugo, using a technique that he learned from being a true embodiment of a hero by saving Deku, is about to attack All For One with this massive blow. And if we think that this blow is just as powerful as the attacks done by Endeavor on this body without the regeneration quirk, yeah, Shigaraki is going to be in a load of trouble, and I can't wait to see what's going to be going on next chapter. But overall, this is a very, very enjoyable chapter for My Hero Academia. We got a lot of characterization and character growth, character development from Bakugo in this chapter. And once again, even more characterization for All For One, and pretty much like one of his inherent flaws that will potentially lead to his downfall. His underestimation of the heroes and his underestimating of society. And the idea that people just don't change, and he's going to lose, most likely from a character changing, and potentially that character being Shigaraki and letting go of his hate. So overall, this was a really enjoyable chapter of My Hero Academia. I know people may not enjoy it as much as I do, but I just really enjoy stories about superheroes done fairly well, if not really well, and My Hero Academia does that for me. So yeah, a lot of cool action, a lot of cool character development, and a lot of cool character growth from both All For One, Shigaraki, and Bakugo. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. What did you think of this chapter? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!